Guys, good afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's a Wednesday afternoon. It is a great day to be alive. Any day above the mud is a reason to celebrate and cherish. We're live in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, across Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. On the I Love CVille Network, we have Nancy Gill for her second rodeo in the I Love CVille Network studios. This time we're going to spotlight Scottsville, Virginia, this fantastic, charming, and intimate town that I think has so much fantastic potential. Judah Wigkauer is our director. Judah, if you could go to the studio camera and welcome Nancy Gill to the show. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I am fine, and thank you for the invitation again.
It's our pleasure. Neil Williamson says hello. He's watching the broadcast. Okay. You have 4 different states watching you here. We're going to talk Scottsville. We're going to talk economic development. We'll talk keeping businesses growing and hiring, what to do with the river, festivals in Scottsville. I mean, I remember the Harry Potter festival was standing room only.
Yes.
Like incredibly popular. Before we do all that, how about a brief introduction to you?
Okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
So I am Nancy Gill, the former mayor of Scottsville, and as I said before, more importantly, I am co-chair of HERE, which is Health, Equity, and Access in Rural Regions, and we are examining what health issues we have in our 4 counties. So that's what I'm working on these days.
Fantastic. How much time does that consume of your day?
It depends on what has to be done. For instance, I do the website.
Wow.
I do have someone doing social media, which is
Nice.
great.
Good.
And we are finishing up basically distributing almost $10,000 worth of hand sanitizer and masks to our greater region.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How'd you go about doing that?
Well, the town of Scottsville received
Okay.
CARES funds,
Okay.
and so we went into partnership with them. They purchased the materials, and we distribute them.
That is amazing. So this is the kind of stuff I want to highlight. If you want to give Nancy Gill some props or some love, put the comments in the feed. Maggie Coulter says hello.
Hello, Maggie.
She liked the feed and is saying hello. Questions already coming in for you. Okay, we're going to have to start prioritizing these questions. I'm going to have to get the red pen out for the questions. And as I said, I promised our listeners and viewers from earlier in the week that I would relay those questions. So maybe those should take priority before these.
Sure.
Okay, so this one came in from Stephen on Monday, and he says, Jerry, make sure you ask Nancy Gill about the tire plant. Anything she wants to talk about with the tire plant.
That tire plant. So
I'm crossing these off as they come. Tire plant's been asked.
historically, that was put in during World War II as something to help the war effort and the town of Scottsville. Unfortunately, it's sort of landlocked. So there's good and bad about the location. We have done a study. Matt Lawless, who's our town administrator, really did a great job pulling out information of what could happen there. And from my point of view, not necessarily his, I would love to see the space broken up into smaller areas where our local businesses that need a place to produce their goods, that they could go in and rent something that gets them out of their home business. So I would love to see that. I would love to see more warehouse space used there for some of our businesses that are in need of storing their product lines. Doug's Maytag comes to mind for that. And as far as businesses, we have Caramount Cheese. I don't know if Gail is still interested in moving off the farm, but a few years ago she did query me on that. So that's what I would love to see. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's a good dream.
So you see smaller flex space, hybrid space that maybe is like white boxed, and then the entrepreneur or small business owner can go in there, envision something, and because it's already kind of boxed, it's closer to the finish line.
That's what I would hope for, Jerry.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then you could have like some fiber in there. You can have maybe like a conference room where folks can have like a common area, like kitchenette.
Yes.
That's not a bad idea. Why hasn't that happened?
Because the town doesn't own the building. So we're really tied there. And there's interest in people purchasing it, but that hasn't happened.
Who owns it?
A fellow named Dr. Hurt.
Oh, Dr. Hurt. I knew that. Alex Vaughn says hello. Oliver Gadiant is watching the program.
Oliver, hi Oliver, haven't seen you for a while.
Questions for Nancy Gill, put them in the feed. Neil Williamson has a question for you.
Okay.
From the Free Enterprise Forum. We love when Neil watches the program. He says, last night at the Albemarle County Planning Commission meeting, Scottsville Town Administrator Matt Lawless suggested adding Scottsville to Albemarle's development area.
Yes.
Neil is curious what you think of this concept.
Okay, so Scottsville is a small town. We have our own geographical boundaries, and in my opinion, we should be a growth area because we are a town. I am not saying growth like Crozet,
Right.
but I am saying small, manageable, incremental growth.
What's the opposition to smart and strategic, manageable growth?
I don't think there is, or perhaps I think there shouldn't be.
Right. I mean, I see that as common sense.
Right.
You know, it's very straightforward. Other questions are coming in for Nancy Gill. In regards to the tire plant, multiple folks are saying right now on the feed, until someone besides Dr. Hurt owns it, the options of innovation with this building aren't great. Any comments on that one?
I would say that's a fair comment.
Yeah. I mean, a good example is the building in its current state. And it's right?
That's right.
Yeah. How about this question that's come in? And one question that we were asking yesterday is, how do we prioritize or get more jobs?
Okay, so there are some things in the works for Scottsville. For instance, Tiger Fuel is coming to town, and they, of course, bring with it 20 or so jobs. So that's one opportunity, again, small incremental growth. If we did do the small business type area at the plant, that would bring in, probably 100 new jobs.
Sure.
So the town is, we really can't promote jobs. We can go out and search for businesses. For instance, another job opportunity for up to 3 people is we're getting a DMV select. So they're looking for a full-time manager and 2 part-time employees. So, again, a year ago we didn't have these opportunities. They're now coming in. We have 2 florists that are coming to town. I don't know if they have job opportunities. We have a fellow who just opened up an outdoors shop for fishing. That looks like a husband and wife team. But just keep looking.
You're getting more props. This from Barbara Wheeler Coleman. She says, hello, Nancy.
Hey, Barbara.
So let me throw this to you. Why do we have so many vacancies in the heart of Scottsville? Why are there so many empty storefronts?
Okay, so we have them, yes, but they're filling up. For instance, if you come to Valley Street now, I would say the biggest vacancy is where the Dollar General store used to be. And again, that's privately owned, and people have ideas, but for ideas, it takes money to implement. So I would say that one space, because it's so large, gives maybe an unfair indication that the storefronts are empty. Because right now I can say, there's 3 new businesses on Valley Street, and that's...
What are those 3?
It's the florist, the outdoors, and there's one, I'm not sure what they're doing. And also we have, the new barbecue place went into an empty space. And this is all within the last 6 months. So when other cities and towns have had problems with their businesses, we haven't lost any due to the pandemic. We've
That's
lost
great.
some due to personal issues, but not the pandemic.
Bobby asked this question: can we get more of a prioritization on music for Scottsville to get people?
We would
back?
love to. We would love to. Laura Malusi with the Events and Tourism Committee is trying to rebook. Last year we couldn't do anything.
Right.
So we're trying to fill in
You
those.
had Fridays after 5:30 at one time, didn't
We
you?
did that. That was basically came in after Rhythm on the River, which had a good 10-year stint, and that was 4 Sunday afternoons in the summer. Scottsville's perfect for music. And everybody, contact the town office and get on Laura's list to come down and play. The brewery is now opening up again for music. I
The
think
beer garden?
yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and the tavern is doing, I think they're doing Thursday afternoons again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's picking up, but the pandemic did hurt us as far as outdoor events.
Barbara Chef Toshi?
Yes, hey Barbara.
Miss Mayor Nancy, come back. That's what she says right there.
I haven't left.
Yeah, she hasn't left. You can give Nancy and Gill props. You can give her some love. You can ask her a question. More questions coming in for you, Nancy. Just put them in the comment section, and I will relay them on air. Folks are saying the relationship between Charlottesville and Scottsville. What do you think is the best relationship for Charlottesville? And let me add to this, not just Charlottesville, but how about just Central Virginia, or even folks like along Route 20 or Mill Creek or 5th Street Extended? I mean, that's like a hop, skip, and a jump away.
It is, but ironically, people from Richmond come much more often than our neighbors to the north.
Is that true?
That is true.
Really?
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
It's a nice day trip. And they get to leave the chaos of Richmond and
Yeah.
come to a nice small town and sit and have a beer or have a meal and then go on their merry way.
Interesting. So what is the best, what do you think is the best, optimization of that relationship?
Between Charlottesville
Yeah.
and, well, I know that Laura's working with the tourism folks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have to come through that. I don't know if advertising to Charlottesville is really
Worth it?
yeah, I don't think it's a good spend for
Sure.
the town. But
So you think Richmond or Northern Virginia are better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? How far would you go?
How far would I go?
Yeah.
To come to Scottsville?
Well, how far would you, from an advertising footprint standpoint?
Oh, I think Richmond and D.C. would be a great place for advertising.
Okay. Festivals. The festival questions come up from a music standpoint. The festival question came up, and I'm looking at my email now, from the Harry Potter standpoint,
the Harry
from a
Potter.
river standpoint, from an
Yes.
outdoor standpoint. So when we mentioned you were coming on last week, folks, we asked them to chime in with questions. And a number of your neighbors said, let's bring up reasons for people to come to the town. And they emphasized music, outdoors, water sports, water recreation as reasons to come. Your thoughts on festivals and what could be done moving forward?
Well, we do have some standard festivals, like the Bateau Festival, which is always the Wednesday right after Father's Day. And that brings in lots of folks, because who doesn't want to see a bateau coming down the river? So that, and I think that's on this year. 4th of July, unfortunately, that used to be such a huge day, all day in Scottsville, probably 10 years ago. But as people have left the earth, we no longer have the support in creating an antique show or the flea market. Danita Steele, she did a great job with the flea market uptown on 4th of July, but it was too costly for her when she finished with insurance and all of that. I mean, she hated to give it up. But so we have people that are no longer with us that did these great events for us, and then the economics of running something. Now, a friend of mine and I tried a few years ago to do a 4-day event in Scottsville.
Ooh.
And it was set up to be perfect, and we had on the 4th of July a great lineup for music.
Did you get
and
rain?
It poured.
Oh no.
So, and we actually ended up, and the band actually played under the little pavilion. And it was rain. The kids loved it because they were jumping in mud puddles. But, 4th of July is a great opportunity. But what happens, people come to the parade, and then they go home,
Right.
maybe to their cookouts, and then they come back in the evening for the fireworks. So I think because we haven't had the stability of after the parade to beginning of fireworks, that we've lost the audience for that time frame.
I think you're right. So what are you going to do?
I don't. That's Mayor Smith's problem.
The fireworks are such a huge aspect of this area. I know, I think it's CBS 19 is trying to drive awareness for the fireworks show on Wendell Woods Mountain this year. We did, here on the I Love CVille Network, we rescued the fireworks and did a GoFundMe. And we moved it to, with the help, obviously, of a ton of people in the community, to Wendell Woods Mountain. I don't know. I just see so much huge potential. One of my favorite things to do is to go either with family or friends in the summer and to fill up our tubes at our house, put them on our Explorer, and then drive to Scottsville for some tubing. And when I brought up that anecdote of something I like doing in Scottsville, other folks said that they feel like the river is underutilized in Scottsville and could offer the town so much more from a draw standpoint. And then that's when I'm like, all right, I want to listen and learn here, so I'm going to listen and learn.
So, ironically,
Yeah,
we're a river town that has no river frontage.
right?
So CSX owns the majority of it, and they lease a fairly large section to reeling and rafting.
Okay.
So that takes up, basically what we have for riverfront property.
Uh-huh.
So
Can't do anything.
we really can't. We're trying to work with the Department of Inland Games and Fishery because they do man the boat launch area. I don't know how far that's gotten, but we're trying.
And trying to do what?
Just to have it for people to be able to go down and just sit by the river. Right now, you have to have a fishing license, or you have to have a license for your boat. I mean, we actually had a veteran who was escorted off the property. He just wanted to go down and sit there.
Really?
Yeah, and to me, that is...
A travesty.
It is.
Yeah.
And, people should be able to go and sit there
And enjoy Mother
and
Nature.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now, another option, though, is we have part of the flood control system. We have a 5-acre pond. It's called Scottsville Lake, and it's actually stocked with trout and I think catfish. So that's another option for people to go. It's out of the way, it's quiet, and, if you can't have the river, go to Scottsville Lake. It's behind Doug's Maytag.
Here's a good one. You're popular, Nancy. This has come in from, I'm going to butcher your last name, Jennifer, so I'm just going to say Jennifer. So this is from Jennifer. Jerry, please ask your guest this question. Nelson County and much of the surrounding area has benefited from increased housing prices in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. How can Scottsville benefit from this as well, like Nelson County, for example?
So that brings us into housing in Scottsville. Everything that's been on the market for the past year has basically sold. I think our record was one of the more historic houses sold in 4 days.
Really?
Now we
What
cannot.
kind of price tag?
I think it's about $500,000.
Okay.
Now we are looking at options. I mean, not me, but I'll say Mr. Lawless and Town Council again.
Okay.
On affordable housing. And, we really don't want to become a bedroom community. So to me, we should do live-work housing, where people actually have their office downstairs, they live upstairs. I think that's the way to go. It's the way the town was actually formed back in the 16 and 1700s. We have lots of space to build houses in Scottsville. We just need to have the right people, developers coming in that really see what would
The potential.
the potential,
Yeah.
and also there's a price break. Not everybody can afford a 3, 4, 5 plus house.
Yeah.
but they
Price
can.
tag.
But $250 seems reasonable.
But I mean, okay, let me devil's advocate with you. Back and forth banter for the sake of a talk show. Perhaps maybe why the developers are shying away, maybe initially on first glance, is 20. And is there an opportunity to even develop and subdivide land?
There is. Okay, I'll take the
first one, 20.
The first one, 20. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think 20 is an impediment to growth in Scottsville.
Okay.
Actually, if we had more business and more housing in Scottsville, that would be a good thing.
Okay.
It would keep some of those cars that I mentioned last time off 20.
Sure.
So the second part was
Subdivide.
developing.
Yeah, land that's subdividable.
Yes. So our friend Dr. Hurt
Uh-huh.
owns not just the tire plant, but when he bought that, he split off about 20 acres. And housing can go there. It's back where the tire plant is, so, Bird Street is very narrow. So, and lots of kids are living there now. So, we want to be mindful of that. But he also owns about a 200-acre tract, which he would like to see. He told us in a meeting, Pantops. And we're like, no. But because it's
He'd like that to be Pantops.
Yeah.
What Pantops is now.
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys are like, no
With-
way,
there's
Jose.
so much critical slope.
Yeah,
There's
right.
so much water that comes down through there,
Uh-huh.
and that's why we have this 5-acre lake called Scottsville Lake,
Uh-huh.
and it's all part of our flood control system.
Yeah.
So, I would hate us to become an Ellicott City, which I think, really great small town. It gets flooded, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would say it's because of overdevelopment. Causes some problems. So again, mindful, smart, incremental development.
So, okay, so what does it look like if it's not Pantops? If Pantops is the extreme, what should it look like? In your eyes?
In my eyes,
Yeah.
he has approximately, I would say, 70 buildable acres. I think the rest of it should be donated to the town to add on to the Van Cleef Nature Area. Then we'll have, like a 100 plus 200-acre park right in the middle of town. That saves the downtown area, and it gives even more reason to come to Scottsville. I don't think he'll do that,
Yeah.
but in my dream of dreams.
Sure. What is a more realistic thing? I don't think he's going to do that either.
No.
What? No, not the Dr. Hurt that I know. What is a more realistic approach?
I think that parcel, there's again, I don't know how many acres it is, a field right between Pat Dennis and Blenheim. Sorry, Barbara Coleman. It's her neighborhood. It could be built on today. And that with the 19-acre one downtown, which could really be integrated into the town.
Yeah.
And then we have all these walking trails
Yeah.
in place now
Right.
that, we're becoming a great little outdoor community.
You guys are known for outdoors.
Yeah.
Rebecca Mott says that's a fantastic idea. More questions are coming in, and folks want us to further explore this idea that you have here. What is further keeping this from happening? Dr. Hurt is no spring chicken. And he's not opposed to a deal. I mean, the Dr. Hurt I know is not opposed to a deal.
No.
I mean, and from my standpoint, Charlottesville's built out, and you look at the urban ring, the urban ring around Charlottesville, I mean, that's, I don't want to say completely built out, but it's darn near close to it. So the next layer right after that, I mean, is clearly your stratosphere, your layer, your ring. And if you don't get more folks living there, then you're not going to have the critical mass of jobs. And if you don't get more folks living there, then you're not going to have the critical mass of customers to create those jobs
That's
and
right.
keep the businesses and
That's right.
help them grow.
That's right.
So it's just like catch-22.
Yeah.
It's just like chicken and an egg scenario. But you're pro getting density as long as it's not sprawl,
Correct.
right? So you
Yes.
characterize Pantops as sprawl?
I think everything around Charlottesville is sprawl.
Okay.
I mean, look to the north, the west, the east, not quite so much, and the south is the last, I guess, in development terms. They always develop the southern part last.
Sure, yeah.
So let us do it.
Do you have broadband
We do.
everywhere?
So we have CenturyLink,
Uh-huh.
which actually has fiber in town, but it's only for the businesses. Now, there's fiber all around Scottsville.
Uh-huh.
Sprint, right across, like on James River Road and 20, Sprint's there, and they go right up toward Blenheim. So it's all around us. We just can't seem to tap into it. You know, the county has given, I believe, CenturyLink a grant to put more broadband in, and so I'm seeing activities like going toward Howardsville. But again, it's all around us. We just can't use it.
How is zoning received and requests for changes in zoning and special use permits and creativity when it comes to development?
A lot of it depends on the developer and the plan. So everything has to go first. Well, it goes to our town, to Matt Lawless, and he looks at it and basically makes sure all of the applications are completed. And then it goes to the Planning Commission. So, and then Planning Commission can spend, whatever amount of time on it. Then it comes to council. So as far as zoning goes, that is what the town is tackling now, is going in and doing common sense zoning instead
What is
of...
common sense zoning?
Like zoning to me, it fits the town. So for instance, when the boundary adjustment that basically added, 900 acres to the town back in the 90s, they didn't really look at everything. They just took Albemarle's zoning and put it on top of Scottsville. So that's what, and we're now working through the inconsistencies in that.
So I'm learning so much from you here. So you're saying that 900 acre parcel
It was basically,
has
yeah.
zoning that's unique?
Oh, no, it's over the whole town.
Okay.
They put it over the whole town.
Okay.
So,
Got
yeah.
it now.
So-
I understand now. Okay.
And it's a slow, arduous process, but, they're chipping away at it.
Paige Wilkes,
Uh-huh.
CenturyLink fiber optics is being run on Hatton Ferry Road and James River Road now. Barbara Coleman says, I would love a nice little neighborhood behind me with a smiley face emoji. That's from Barbara Coleman. Paige Wilkes and Barbara, thank you for your perspective and your questions here. This is an interesting one here. Okay, I'm going to read this. I'm vetting it. This is a little more of a challenging question.
Okay.
But still respectful. Jay-Z Kirby. He says, I love Scottsville, and many years ago I was a business owner, resident, and public servant there. I now have a food truck and was floored to see that Scottsville charges $500 per year for an itinerant business license when Charlottesville charges $125. Is this punitive to deter such business because of complaints from brick and mortar? That's an interesting question. He's basically saying the barrier of entry for a food truck is at a $500 a year clip, where in Charlottesville is $125. And this food truck owner is wondering, did the barrier of entry get to $500 because of the influence of brick and mortar restaurants basically seeing the food trucks as competitors.
Right. Okay, so I believe the daily fee is $50 for a food truck, I think. Now, it's always been $500 per year, okay? And that predates me coming on board. I don't want to deflect his question, but I seriously don't know why. And it could be maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Sure.
Or, it's not food trucks because it actually predates food trucks.
What do you think of food trucks in Scottsville? I think food trucks would be set up nicely in Scottsville.
I love food trucks.
Me too.
I mean,
right?
They come to the Bateau Festival. They come when we have music.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we have music right there at the farmer's market, which is in the tavern's backyard. And they don't mind because
it brings
people
to
and
customers.
people go there.
Right.
Yeah,
it's synergistic.
Right.
Jay-Z says it's $50 per week, $150 per month, $500 per year. And he says, and by the way, I'll be set up this Saturday at Kathy Marr's Pet Grooming for her grand reopening at her new location. Bootleg catering and Tex-Mex fusion food truck right there. Getting the plug in, Jay-Z Kirby. I like that.
And
I like your hustle.
I'll be there.
And she's going to be there for it.
And I'll point out Ron Smith, the current mayor, so you can take the issue up with him.
What is the influence the mayor of Scottsville has? Just out of curiosity. Is it more of a pomp and circumstance title?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah.
No. I spent, when I first took office in 16.
It's completely volunteer.
It's all volunteer.
Yeah.
I spent 30, 40 hours a week in the office because
You spent 30 to 40 hours per week in the office?
I did.
Because you wanted to do it
year.
right.
Well, I wanted to see what was going on.
Good night.
And, and I still think probably the biggest contribution I made, because I was on council for years. And it just seemed to me whenever decisions were made, they came at us in the 11th hour, and we were just expected to rubber stamp them. So to me, my biggest accomplishment was actually giving our council their authority back, because they're the ones that do policy and procedure.
So you enjoyed it?
I loved it.
You did?
I did.
Why not do it again?
No.
No? Just because your priorities have changed?
Well, that, and when I ran, I said I would run for 2 terms, and I did. And I kept my word, so that does not make me a politician.
She's a evangelist of Scottsville.
You
just love Scottsville.
I love Scottsville.
This comment's come in. You guys brought up the farmer's market. Couldn't the farmer's market in Scottsville be so much more? And please don't take this comment as me knocking the farmer's market. We love to go there and take our family. So that's interesting. That's from a mom. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's space for more vendors. Mm-hmm. I would love to see more food there. Mm-hmm. There is this young lady who does Indian food, which is really good. She only takes cash, so, but no, we have our rock solid vendors, and then as the season progresses, there's more. But and there is music there during, one of the vendors actually plays music. And there's another fellow who just comes and plays because he likes to. But so it's a music opportunity every Saturday morning.
We talk so much on this show about how expensive it is to live here, and how this mantra, which is it's an unfortunate mantra, but it's drive till you qualify, which is very much impacting Central Virginia. Basically meaning a lot of folks have to get in a car and drive to a certain radius point away from Charlottesville to be able to get a house that they can afford, because Charlottesville and Albemarle and the urban ring are so expensive right now. And COVID has only put tailwinds behind that, because we now have this trend, and the trend is digital nomads.
Yes.
Or this Zoom town.
Yes.
I just heard this over the weekend, Zoom town. And a Zoom town is an area that has a lot of amenities and a lot of cool stuff. And we know this. That's why we live here. We have breweries and wineries and the outdoors, and we have cool music and great restaurants and good quality of life and a lot of stuff to do. So now this Zoomtown trend, folks from densely populated areas like Northern Virginia or the Big Apple, they're moving here and they're working from ISPs and they're maintaining their big city salary, but they're scooping up all our inventory and they're making this area so expensive. And that worries the hell out of me. Because there's such a limited area in Central Virginia. One of the reasons Central Virginia is so amazing is because we don't have the congestion and the traffic that we see in Fredericksburg or Northern Virginia. Do you worry about this stuff too? About this Zoomtown and this digital nomad and what's happening around here?
No.
You do not worry about it?
No.
How come? You're just like, why worry? It's going to happen no matter what?
Well, I don't know if it is or not because, again, the people that tend to work or live in our area, they come to Charlottesville to work, and they're not tech jobs; they're service industry jobs. So I can't see like Buckingham becoming a major Zoom county.
No, I think the Zoomtown is Charlottesville and Albemarle.
Yes.
And then when Charlottesville and Albemarle becomes the Zoomtown, where digital nomads are coming here, then they're pushing out the locals to Buckingham.
Yeah.
And Fluvanna and Waynesboro and Harrisonburg and Greene.
Yes. And that's accurate.
Is that a good thing? And what can we do to prevent that? And is there, so you're just like, let's let the dynamics of a free market of capitalism just play out.
How can we control it?
That's hard to say.
I mean, if somebody wants to come down and pay
ridiculous amounts for a house,
it's not going to stop anybody.
Yeah, I don't know how we can control it either. I don't think we can. Well, how can Scottsville, how can your portion of Albemarle take advantage of it then? Jesse Rutherford's come on the show, Board of Supervisors at Nelson County. And they're like, we have a municipality that has a ton of money in reserves, and we got broadband across all of Nelson. And now they're just reaping the benefits.
Yes. Well, again, in Scottsville, it has to do with who owns the property. And large tracts, well, not large, but tracts are moving for hopefully future housing development. And I think that, people would get to live in beautiful Scottsville and telecommute. One thing that, and this is an aside, but it goes to your whole point that people are getting pushed out of Charlottesville because it's too pricey. When we first started the health initiative, we went to the hospitals and we talked to, I won't mention any names, but we were thinking, what can we do to help you create a healthy workforce? We were thinking, exercise, maybe some events, outdoor events, running or things like that. They told us build affordable housing for our employees. And to my point, pay them more.
I know, but I feel like that's easier said than done. I've been here
I've
been here 21 years. I mentioned you've been here longer than I have. I came here as a first year at UVA. And I feel like the entire time I've been here, we've been talking about affordable housing. And the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust has got 13 affordable housing units coming to Avon Extended at a Stanley Martin project. And what they've done is amazing. I mean, they're building affordable housing. 13 affordable housing units is amazing. But it's 13.
It's only 13.
It's 13.
Right.
And I feel like we should champion and we should celebrate 13 units coming on the market that are affordable, but that's not going to combat market forces, what's happening.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of like disenchanting in that the town, the city, Charlottesville, and the ring around Charlottesville, that is Albemarle, it just seems like it's just going to be a rich playground.
Yeah.
Is that what's just basically going to,
I can see that in Charlottesville. I don't see that in Scottsville.
No, I mean, I don't see that in Scottsville, and I don't see it in Scottsville for reasons we've identified. This question's come on the feed from Spencer, said, Jerry, ask your guests what UVA's role is in Scottsville's growth and development.
Non-existent.
So non-existent right now?
Right now.
What should UVA's role be in? Because didn't they have a bus system?
They did, and it was a van system that was for their employees, and it was right before the pandemic hit, and when that hit, it disappeared. So it was a van share type option for UVA employees.
So what should their role be, do you think? UVA's in Albemarle County.
I know. I would love to see a health offering in our area.
What's a health offering?
A clinic, maybe dialysis, maybe some x-ray machines.
What's the extent of the medical now?
In town, we have one private practice, and then about 5 miles out, we have Southern Albemarle Family Practice, which is a part of Central Virginia Health Services, and that's it. Scottsville used to have, back in the day, and I'm talking 50s, 60s, they had 3 doctors.
And now it's one?
Now it's one.
Man. How about other kinds of transportation that we should focus on?
Yeah, well, you discussed last time about hop-on. Well, it would be great to have, and this was Angela's idea, to create a cycling trail from Scottsville to Charlottesville.
That would be amazing.
And also Charlottesville, because people would come both ways. Get them off 20 and the unsafe roads.
Well, did you see the news this week about the 3-notch trail?
No.
It's when you have a chance, and I'll text you the link after the show, but it's a 25-mile trail that 3 nonprofits are kind of banding forces together, and it's called the 3-notch trail, a 25-mile trail that they're trying to lobby the Board of Supervisors now to create in Albemarle County.
Okay. Is it following the 3-notched road?
I hate to say, let me do a quick Google search. But where did you want to go with I think you wanted to go the road of a public-private partnership with transportation when you mentioned hop-on tours.
Right. Well, I think you suggested it last time, because the wonderful thing about them is you get on and you pay for the seat. So, if anybody wanted to do anything, they didn't have to lease a bus to do it.
Right.
So, and I thought that was a pretty good idea for public-private partnership in transportation from our area to Charlottesville.
Do we have the stats of how many folks live in or right around the town of Scottsville that are employed by a business in the city of Charlottesville or somewhere in the urban ring in Albemarle?
Okay. The statistic I gave you last time was 7,000 to 8,000 cars per day go through town from Fluvanna and Buckingham County. And they don't stop. So they're north of the city. A great number of them work in different capacities at UVA. Some are going as far as the airport to work.
Wow.
So, and they're coming from Dillwyn, which is 20 miles south of Scottsville. So it's a 40-mile to Charlottesville.
It's a massive commute.
It's massive.
Right?
And it starts at 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning,
4:30
because
in the morning.
people may have a shift that starts at 7, and they're
Yes.
talking about a 30 to 45-minute one-way trip.
30 to 45, I would give it an hour sometimes more than an hour.
That's a lot of cars.
Yeah. And it's a lot of time to spend in your car
Yeah.
10 times every week.
Right. What do you make of that?
That's why I wish we had more jobs in Scottsville, because, it's the only way we're really going to get these folks to stop is to actually have jobs where they do stop.
I just don't see how. I'm trying to get creative and be entrepreneurial here. I'm trying to figure out a way to get employers to consider Scottsville, to get more jobs there. And I guess you come up with the idea with the tire plant. The tire plant's a good start, because at least you have a facility or a building that you can utilize that's underperforming now. I mean, it could totally work. I mean, COVID could make it work as people become more reliant on just working at home or from an executive office space remotely from fiber or the internet. Cool. What other ideas do you think we should talk about? I like this. I like brainstorming with you. I like the ideas that are coming in from the feed. Why don't I scour the feed to see if I missed anything, and you offer any perspective that you can think of that would be that should be out there.
Well, one thing I really want to talk about Scottsville, because when I moved here, and I would, even though we had the levee, we had the flood control system, I was over in Covesville one morning. And, where are you from? I go, Scottsville. And it was like, oh, Scottsville under the James, which is what Scottsville used to be known as because of the many floods. So, and this is why I really want to give a shout out to Tim Carr, who is the superintendent
watching the show right now
of our flood control system, and it is the A. Raymond Thacker flood control system. So everybody just thinks we have a levee. So the levee's job is to keep the river out of Scottsville. I've mentioned Scottsville Lake, which is basically a retention area for everything that comes down Mink Creek. And Mink Creek, when you go to the brewery and you're sitting out in the beer garden, this nice little creek, that is what has historically flooded the town. So Tim, his major job is making sure the pumps are in good working order. So there are 3 huge Caterpillar diesel pumps in the pump house. And any given day, I mean, we're talking 3 pumps running 50,000 gallons of water per minute. They pump out. And our volunteers that do this are our firemen, our firefighters. And I'll say it again, Matt Lawless also volunteers. But one event I want to talk about was in February of 19. It was snowmelt and rain. They pumped continuously for 96 hours, 80 million gallons of water from that little cute creek into the river.
Wow.
So that's like my shout out to our great fire department and all the work they do for our town.
Bruce, is it Loon?
Yes.
Fishing in Scottsville Lake. And he gave some big time exclamation points right there. Abby Sargent Jones and Patricia Bridgman. Love what you're saying right now on the program.
Patricia, she's in Massachusetts.
There's 5 states watching you right now on this show. This is the power of social media when used for the good.
Yes.
As opposed to divisive. This is what's happening. This is an interesting comment, and maybe we close on this. This is from Caroline. She says, Jerry, the key to bringing economic activity to Scottsville is music and restaurants. If we can get good music and good restaurants, people will come from Charlottesville, from Richmond, and over Central Virginia to Scottsville. It's music and restaurants. What do you think of that?
I agree. But we also need housing and jobs.
Right.
Because, people may come, but you go to any small town, and they will tell you the best customer is the local one because they keep coming back.
Sure. What would be a good example of what you would want Scottsville to evolve or turn into that you've seen?
I would just like it to be more of what it is right now.
Okay, that was a great answer. That was very well played, Nancy Gill. Is there an example that you can give me that you've seen around the country that we may know of that you like?
Well, I go to Rockport, Massachusetts quite often.
Okay.
And it's an artistic town.
Uh-huh.
It's older than Scottsville, I believe. Maybe older than Scottsville, maybe about the same time. But they have such a pride in that town. And I see that in Scottsville as well. But they have artist galleries, studios, little shops. But they also have business. And, yeah, they have a very large summertime population that comes in, but they also have people that live there year-round, and it's just a great little town. Sorry, Patricia, I know you're in Gloucester, but I prefer Rockport.
Christopher said, ask your guests what happened to the Harry Potter Festival. My family and my kids loved it. was trademark infringement, right? Isn't that what it was?
It was,
Harry Potter is someone you don't mess with.
I know.
The iron fist of Harry Potter is for real. Is that right?
Well, Warner Brothers Iron Fist.
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
Say.
Was it Warner Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened was it started out as a small festival.
And it blew up.
And it went crazy.
It went viral.
It was great.
Yeah.
And what happened was it got on, I guess, Kristen, who runs the coffee shop, it was her brainchild.
Okay.
And the first year, it was small. The second year, bigger. The third year, I think it was the third year, it just went crazy. And it got the attention of Warner Brothers. And that's what happened. So we had to cancel, I think it was the fourth year, because we could do it. And nonprofits could actually use the trademarked names of different businesses, but our businesses couldn't. And, when you had one of our businesses doing the wands and magic tricks, and there's a line from his business all the way up to the funeral home, I mean, it was huge.
Right? What was the economic impact of that?
I really don't know.
Yeah?
I was just having fun.
You're just having a good time.
I was the conductor.
So it went 4 years?
I think so. Kristen, if she's watching this, she can correct me. But I think it was 4 years. And the fifth year, and the last year it ran, VDOT actually shut down 20. And that was their idea, not ours.
I mean, that's serious.
That's serious.
Can you remember when 20's ever been shut down? Besides that?
For the parade.
For the parade.
And probably for flood events.
For flood, yeah.
And accident events. But for an event like this, no.
Nancy Gill, you are A-plus people. Peter Douglas, welcome to the broadcast. 6 states watching you on the show today, talking about Scottsville. I love it. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
I would love to do this again with you in the future.
What are we going to talk about after this?
We could talk about... Hey, you know everybody. I'm going to ask you who we're going to talk about. She is Nancy Gill. She's A-plus. She is an evangelist of the town of Scottsville, former mayor, and her second time on today's show. If you have any questions, if you watch this show after it airs in real time, just share them with me, and I will ask Nancy in my third attempt to persuade her to come back. Okay. Bruce says, great show and a fantastic interview. Is it Loon? Bruce Loon?
Bruce Lunn.
Bruce Lunn. Thank you for watching, Bruce, and thank you for the kind words. So any questions, just put them in the feed, send me a direct message, or hit me up on Twitter or any of the social platforms, and we will pass them along to Nancy Gill. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
We are back tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. with Today y Mañana, our show spotlighting the Latino community across Central Virginia. That show airs from 10:15 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. tomorrow. And of course, the I Love CVille Show is at 12:30 tomorrow, where we'll welcome Kelly Jackson. Her family owns 16 Panera Bread locations, and they are actively involved in the Central Virginia community from a philanthropic standpoint, from a business development standpoint. 1,500 team members on their roster with their 16 Panera Breads. So a lot we're going to talk about with Kelly Jackson on the program tomorrow. You guys have a good afternoon and take care. And please keep it local in Central Virginia. Please keep it local. Take care, guys. Bye. Nancy, you were awesome.
Well, thank you. You were too.
I have a feeling we're going to get a lot more questions.